Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lips podcast. This is Brian.
And I'm Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share our thoughts and perspectives on marriage.
We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. Now, let's get right into the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for checking in and rocking with us one more time. If you are new and this is the first time, welcome. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. We appreciate you rocking with us. Today, the topic is simple. What does it mean to be married? So we're going to just flesh that out in a little conversation and see what happens.
Also, this is episode 100. And with that in mind, we would like you to reach out to us on our socials. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we're doing poorly. And let us know also what you would like to hear from us so we can make sure that in episode 101 and beyond, we can be delivering for you what you actually want to talk about and hear about. You can find us on Facebook, searching Marriage is Tougher, Instagram, YouTube, all the places. And like I said, we just want to hear from you. You can also reach out to us on our our website, marriagestougher.com. There's a short form there for you to fill out if you'd like to be a guest, and just engage with us because we want to talk to you.
All right. Marriage. Well, what does it mean to be married?
It's a good question.
Is a loaded question.
Yeah.
But what do you even think when you hear that phrase?
Man, I think about all of the things that I've been through so far within my marriage and all of the things that will inevitably be, I guess is the way I want to put that. But I think about the sacrifices that I make and that my wife makes. I think about being a strong example for our children of how to operate within a marriage. I think about, it's funny. I think about the day we got married, but how that is really just a springboard to launch you into your actual marriage, right? And I think about what we're doing here with the podcast and how better prepared we could have been, and how much stronger that springboard could have been, right? So I don't know. It's a funny thought for me, but how about you? What are some of the things that you think of off the top of your head?
I think about time and like time together and how it can feel like, wow, this happened so fast, but also it can feel like, man, this feels right. Like I almost forget what it's like not to be with Crystal. Right? Like I find like all the memories and things that happen. I mean, we're 15 years in, so we'll be 15 years in September, so there's a larger bank of time to pass over, but it's just like, man. And just thinking about now in this moment, like once we figured we were going to talk about this topic, like just all the things that we've gone through and those things that have tested people, tested us, and we've seen test other people in similar ways, and just realizing we're still here and we're still together. And that's what marriage is. Sometimes it's just enduring through whatever situation. It's not glamorous all the time or showy or that picture, whatever picture of expectations that we've had. Like, I mean, it can be that, but sometimes it's not.
Right. It definitely doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You got me thinking. One of the first things I typically think about when I think about marriage is the word forever and how much that means to me. Right. I mean, coming up as a boy and even into adulthood, obviously, um, I always had this idea that I couldn't imagine getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's to say that I know divorce exists. I know um, that a lot of people choose that route. I want to say I don't think that I would ever allow myself to choose that route. There would have to be something really crazy in order for me to choose to end my marriage. Right. I've got a friend whose marriage has uh, survived infidelity by his wife. And there were times that before I saw his example that I thought that would probably end my marriage. But the further we get along, I don't know that that's so true anymore.
That's deep.
It is. It is. And I won't necessarily get into his reasons for staying. And I'm sure if something like that were to happen, I would develop my own reasons to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially if I felt that our relationship could be repaired, um, which leads me into another big factor of marriage is trust. It takes a lot of trust and it takes a lot of communication, and it there's a marriage mindset for me, right? It's that just don't quit, right? And there's more to it than just don't quit. It's be willing to give it your everything, right? Because you can exist and not quit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a whole nother realm to give it everything and to have that Kaizen mindset of I'm always trying to improve and be better and make my marriage better and help my wife be better, right?
Yeah, that's it's it's like active or intentional um participation,
Mm,
right? It's setting yourself up. How can I be the best? How can I help my wife be the best? Like, what can I do? What can we do? What can I do to aid um this marriage? And all the issues that we have in marriage or things that pop up, um, they're generally like symptoms of another thing, right? Like the it's like the result, right? Like if you um like if you end up throwing up, right? Like that's a symptom that something is wrong in your body, right? Whether it be you have food poisoning, whether it be you have like a stomach bug, whether it be you drank too much, right?
mm-hmm.
Those are the reasons why you throw up, but the throw up is what you see. Sorry to be graphic if anyone doesn't like that, but
Yeah.
using that example, right? So like those, if we're, you know, acting out or unkind or um, whatever it is that can cause ruffles or, in our marriage, those are the symptoms of something that's deeper. So how you fight to or the best way to be married and stay married is to try to figure out those things, like the reasons, um, and not just the symptoms, so that so that you don't get to that final place, as you see yourself, really reflect. It's communication, man. It's being married is being in constant communication with your spouse and being so self-aware that so open and so vulnerable, and there's levels of learning that. um, so I guess for me, as I'm rounding out this random rant, is what does it mean to be married is to be vulnerable and self-aware and communicative.
Yeah. 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 There's I know we talked about it on an episode before, but there's a friendship aspect to it, right? On that episode, we talked about, is your wife your best friend? And for me, and I believe yourself as well, we landed on no, but my wife, that title rests higher than best friend, and my wife has best friend aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
But within that, and thinking about it now, that friendship aspect means that I enjoy being around her, right? I enjoy conversing with her. I I want to know what's going on with her, what's what makes her feel good, what is ailing her, right? Um, I want to be a shoulder for her to be able to lean on, cry on if necessary. And I want to travel with her. I want to do the things that we enjoy together, right?
Right.
Um, there's a couple that emulates that very well. And when I slack in that area a little bit, I tend to look to their example, um, and they do it so well, right? That you can almost be envious of it. Now their situation's a little different because they don't have kids, so they travel quite a bit and look for deals, and I think this weekend actually they're in Philly for a Boyz II Men concert uh, during Super Bowl weekend. So I told them be safe,
Right.
But they're always doing little things like that, little getaways, even if it's just for a couple days or whatever, which is awesome. But that friendship piece, man, that's really big.
Yeah, you have to. The be- the wonderful thing about friendship is when you understand that it evolves as you evolve as a person,
Mm.
and there are different. Their friendships are there's different types, right? Some are only for a moment, and some last a little longer, and some are forever, right? Clearly, your marriage, your being married is a forever friendship. And the wonderful thing about the forever friends are they stick with you even when you're changing, and they point out that they see you change, but they still love you for who you are
Mm.
and support you. And if your change is for the better or for the worse, they're still supporting you through that change and helping you become a better version of yourself, in whatever aspect of your friendship, however deep you guys go. And I think that's absolutely the case with marriage. Um, and it's just a show of love as sacrifice that, um, is a great example, that pushes me, right? Seeing all the things that my wife sacrifices as a person, like personally, for the good of our marriage, makes me want to sacrifice for her.
Yeah. You mentioned that word love. We took some time to define that on our show as well. And I would encourage men to explore that word, um, and especially explore it as less of a feeling and more of an action, right? What I found myself doing when I did that, by exploring that word love, is finding new ways that I could serve my wife, right? For me, if love is an action, then I can always be looking for more ways to love my wife, right? It's it's not enough just to say that you love someone, in my experience, right? That the words aren't wholly fulfilling, but the actions of, dare I say, proving it, right?
Right.
And I know it's funny because we sometimes want to feel like if I say the words, I shouldn't have to prove it. But put the shoe on the other foot. If your wife was only to ever say that she loves you, but didn't support you, wasn't friendly, wasn't, providing a peaceful household, and all of these things, you know, would you feel loved?
Right.
So with that mindset, I think, and it's something that I went through, but with that mindset, I found myself doing and giving more than what I thought was necessary, I guess is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I think that is a nugget to take away. It's a constant proving, not in a negative concept,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but well, in certain spaces, right, there is something called proof of concept, right? You flesh out whatever the theory is, and you prove that that is true, or prove it isn't. So it is proving. Like, I need to prove that I love my wife, right? And how do you do that? By taking steps and taking actions. Word with just words, it's just a concept. That all I have, here I conceptually love you because I'm saying this, and my thoughts are, I have all these ways in my mind that I think I love you. But if I never put action behind that, then it's not love. It's just a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, that's good.
So you said something when we were talking about this episode about the second definition that, that I found when I was looking about love, and I thought that was really cool. And it was a combination or mixture of two or more elements, and uh, it seems so basic and so rudimentary, right? But like, I love like what you were saying about.
Yeah. Being in the restaurant industry for so long, you'll hear people eventually say, hey, marry those two bottles, or, and depending on what it is, sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's not. But the whole fact behind it is you are taking whatever contents of one container and pouring it into another container, to put those two things together, right? And that works as the word marriage. So you might hear someone say, "Hey, go marry those two salt containers," right? So then you make one full or one whole salt container. And what I really liked about it is the pouring portion of that, right? We talk all the time about uh, pouring ourselves into our wives and vice versa. So I think that definition, as you said, as rudimentary as it is, works really well, right? And it goes back to love, right? You hear people say pouring out love, right? You're pouring out the actions of your love to show, this, that, and the third. But what I also am realizing is, as I'm doing that, that makes me feel really good when it's received well, right? When I know I'm hitting all the points of how my wife likes to be loved or prefers to be loved, that feels really good for me as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's encouraging to hear that example and just realize, like, just keep pouring out yourself. Like, just keep pouring into your marriage, pouring, making efforts to better your marriage, right? That's, to me, that's one of the elements of being married, is like just effort to be better and to grow.
Yeah. When you have children, you have no problem with taking a lifetime to pour into them. So why not have the same mindset for your marriage?
Just let that sit for a little bit.
It's easier, right? But I think it can technically just be a mindset shift if that's a place you struggle.
Yeah, that's I think being married is a mindset, right? It's a whole shift in life. And each of us come to that realization at different times. But once you do, it's like reaching Super Saiyan status, right? There's just something different about how you operate. It's like being aware that the Matrix exists, right? Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, like, gotta switch it up. Like, it's not me, it's we. All right. And once it's a we, all right, how do we get better? So yeah, it's definitely mindset.
That's good. It's funny because I was going to ask you before you mentioned that, what was one of your biggest mindset shifts? And for me, it's the pronouns, ours, we, right? What's mine is hers, and what's hers is mine. I think that was one of, if not the biggest shift for me. And when somebody says that to you, the average person would probably think, oh, money and possessions, right? And that's a big part of it. But I would encourage you to think about it as time as well, right? And especially for me, because I had this huge hurdle to get over where, um, I just wanted to be doing what I wanted to be doing. But once we got married, that's our time. That's our most precious resource. We like to believe that it's money, but it's actually time, our time.
Yeah, that's really good. Um, I think for me, it was being a blended family, that was kind of a big one for me, like realizing in my mind that I was Isaiah's dad,
Hmm.
and like that was a thing. Um, and realizing that it didn't feel there wasn't a force to feel that. So however God did that with us, we're blessed that that worked. But it just realizing like instantly, I'm now a father, and this is our child. We're raising this child together, and it wasn't like, oh, this is my son. No, this is our son, and this is what we're doing. So for me, that part hit. No, but it's different. But honestly, it hit different in different pockets, right? It might have took me a while to understand. So if anyone, excuse me, doesn't feel like they've holistically mastered this in their marriage yet, that's fine. Because some areas, right, sometimes, like you said, it's easier to say, oh, possessions, or all right, we'll just combine bank accounts. But it might be bank accounts, but we have to think of our spending habits as our spending habits, which is a little deeper, right? But so for me, it was like our family is our family. But I think it took a little time to realize, as far just like you, like my time was not my time. But it helped that I had that family aspect, so I got it a little quicker, I think, than I would have otherwise. Obviously, I can only know from what my experience is, but I think that was a big pusher for me. Was, as one of my coworkers called it, she was like, "Man, you got InstaFam, you got a kid, a dog, and a wife, and a house. Like all that happened when you got married." Yep, sure did. But yeah, that definitely pushed me.
Yeah, that's good, man. I think we had a good talk. As we're wrapping that up here, it's encouraging to hear different perspectives on marriage, right? And for us, because we talk about it so much, we largely know what our perspectives are. But it's also encouraging to see you grow in your marriage, and I'm sure the same,
Yeah.
is vice versa. But we've been friends for a long time, and our plans of living near each other didn't necessarily come to fruition, but we do the best that we can to keep our friendship alive and well, and talking about our marriages and trying to help others with theirs, I think is one of the best things I've done with my life. So, as this episode 100 airs, man, I just want to thank you for being here for the ride.
Man, that is a great statement. It is a ride, and I'm glad I could go on it with you for sure, and seeing our growth as husbands, which in essence helped us be better people. And I can say that with full confidence. I'm a better person because I'm a better husband.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, episode 100. That's nuts. So, appreciate that. Yeah, as we wrap this up, thank y'all for listening. Again, please reach out on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, just searching Marriage is Tougher. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when episodes come out. We're on all podcast platforms for those of you watching on YouTube, and we're on YouTube for all those listening on a podcast platform. We really appreciate you taking the time just to hear what we have to say about marriage, and hopefully it just continues to help you. And if you want to be a guest, hit us up at marriageistougher.com and fill out the form, and we'll talk about what you want to talk about, and we'll get you on the channel.
Yeah, rate and review.
All right, y'all.
All right, we'll talk to you next time.